Oh, dude, did you watch Deep Water?
No, what's that?
Oh, you haven't watched it yet?
No.
I thought you watched it. The Ben Affleck Anna de Armas movie.
Yeah. I watched it, yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was hot as fuck.
But was it hot as fuck, or was Anna de Armas just hot as fuck?
Yeah, de Armas. I mean, the part where she asked him to eat her butt, I was like, I'm so glad they kept that in.
That was a good scene.
Dude, yeah, she's like, kiss my butt. He's like, I was like, but that movie, I mean, it was kind of like it was tough to watch because she was so like,
she's awful to him in that movie.
Yeah.
If she's gonna be fucking around on him like that, they needed a scene in the beginning where she like is nice to him, like cooks him breakfast, and then is like, maybe he's like stressed out at work, and she's like, it's all right, honey, you'll get through it. And like you can see that she's like, not that she has to even do things like that where it's like traditional wife roles, but just anything where it seems like she's nice to him or additive to his life.
Yeah.
Like she's like mean to him even when she's not fucking other dudes. You're like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. The whole time you're like, why is he still with her? You're like she makes the point of like you'd be bored if you weren't married to me, and I'm like I don't really, I don't think so.
Might be worth exploring.
Yeah, like there's no redeeming factors, and then he just starts killing everyone, and it's so obvious
that he's killing them.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like, so everyone's like, bro, you know she's fucking that dude, right? The guy winds up dead, and he's like, crazy, you just drowned in my pool.
The third guy who had sex with her and then died, like, you think someone would be able to piece it together? There's like no cops in the whole fucking movie who could just easily be like, who has a motive here? Look around, be like, wait, all 6 of these guys fucked your wife? I think it might be this guy. Like, there's never a moment like that.
Yeah.
And then all of his boys just have his back, which is kind of sweet, I guess. But all of his friends are like kind of laughing. She goes ballistic on him. He's like, you killed him. Yeah. And he obviously did, because he was like in the pool with the guy like 5 seconds before he died. And then his friends are like, oh, come on. You didn't kill him. You're being crazy.
And the cops are like, she just accused you of murder. And he's like, come on.
Yeah, he just gives looks. He's just like.
Yeah. It was kind of tough to see Ben in that role.
Dude, I have a theory that the reason he, and this is like gross, but like I think the reason he dated her in real life, beyond the fact that she's Anna de Armas and, probably she's beautiful and seems really cool and incredible, but like, I think part of him was like, yo, if I'm going to play a cuck in a movie, I don't want people to actually think I'm a cuck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to date her, and then people will know it was just for the movie.
That makes sense.
Like, it gives you have that real world context in your head the whole time. So you never quite believe he's a cuck, because you're like, well, yeah, but they were like making love off camera.
Why do you think he took the role?
Dude, good question. I have no idea. I think Ben Affleck kind of like dislikes himself.
Yeah.
And likes to play guys who are like losers a little bit, because maybe he feels like a loser a little bit, even though he's my hero and I really admire Ben Affleck and think he's the fucking man. But I think he maybe takes pride in like beating himself up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's my theory on it.
That makes sense.
Or my dude, is Adrian Lynn, like that director made like Fatal Attraction and like
the new erotic thriller.
He's the best erotic thriller director ever. He did Unfaithful, which was like kind of a mess, but like really fun to watch. And I'm like, they probably just thought he was going to bring the heat, and then it just turned out kind of a little bland and just too ridiculous.
Yeah, well, because that first scene was like, when she's like making out with the guy, like staring at Ben Affleck while she does it. I was like, wait, I thought they were married. Are they like not together? And it turns out they are. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's like, yeah, I don't know where she is. And the guy's just saying, like, it's so. Yeah, there's no subtlety.
And the neighborhood just has parties all the time, and there's just like a bunch of unaccounted for smoke shows at all the parties.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that his wife is fucking all these guys, and like people just walk up to him and be like, hey, like, Ben, like, it's kind of pathetic that you just let her fuck all these dudes. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of pathetic. And you're like, wait, everyone knows and is kind of making fun of you about it? Like, I don't know. It just felt, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much.
And then, although I gotta admit, the guy who was really suspicious of him, and, spoiler alert, at the end when he dies, I was kind of like, yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But he dies because, total spoilers, he can't stop texting people that he was right about him being a murderer.
Yeah.
And he's texting so much that he dies. He crashes his car.
Yeah.
And then also, it's a high-speed chase. He's in a car.
I know.
And Ben Affleck's chasing him in a bike.
He's like keeping up with him.
Yeah, he's like taking shortcuts. And then the dude is bombing, doing like 100 miles an hour to get home. I'm like, bro, you're in a car. He's in a bike.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing 40, you're safe. Like, he's not going to catch you.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a gun.
No, he doesn't have a gun. He's got a stick and a bike.
Yeah,
and he's like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It just, there was just too many moments where I was watching. I was like, this is ridiculous, dude.
And why did he show up there? Did his wife tell him to look for the scarf too?
No explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, dude, I mean, you can poke holes in this movie forever. He accuses Ben Affleck of being a murderer. His wife and him are confiding in each other that Ben's character might be a murderer. Then Ben invites them over for dinner, and they go.
Yeah.
They go to... Dude, if I accused you of being a murderer,
Yeah.
would I go to dinner at your house the next day?
Yeah.
Probably, because we're boys, but
Yeah.
in most circumstances, no.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Although, I mean, you know, I gotta hand it to that director because all I think about is that ass eating scene. What's up, guys? That was a sample clip from our Patreon-only episode. If you want more bonus content each week, go to patreon.com/chatgoesdeep, subscribe to Going Deep with Chad and JT, become a Patreon, and we'll see you there.